man is back.
Oh, okay, boys. Oh my gosh, the man got that stuff. This is a 5 out of freaking 5.
It is beat making time.
Next week is E3 week. My album comes out next week.
I have the leopard. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But look at that, my God.
This is your boy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy Desist, true Inferno. Back at it with another Pokemon Unite commentary video gameplay for you guys here on YouTube, and y'all know I have to talk about this. Y'all know I have to talk about this. We are talking about the Mr. Beast controversy, or from this point going forward, we're just gonna call him Jimmy, cause that's his real name, his real first name, Jimmy. Now, let me start with a disclaimer real quick. Since there are scenarios where the individuals that are accused, normally YouTubers or some content creators or streamers, whatever the case may be, who are like up there in terms of like fame and potentially fortunes and things of that nature, they tend to like try and silence people, because when people come up with YouTube videos accusing them of this and calling them that, stuff like that, they tend to like hit them up saying like, yeah, you take that video down or else, or something like that, or they'll try to get YouTube involved with things of that nature. So let me make something clear real quick. Everything that I'm going to cover is public. There's no, oh, I went digging behind the scenes, I talked to somebody who works for Jimmy, or no. All the info that I'm going to talk about is public, and there are going to be videos posted in the description box below, so you can check those videos out yourself. So keep that in mind. I'm just reporting of what's out there already. That's number one. Number two is this. I'm not going to make any accusations, because even though things are not looking good for Jimmy, since there's a bunch of stuff that he is accused of, a lot of stuff that he's accused of, some of it minor, some of it major, but there's a lot of it that he's accused of. And as of me recording this video, as far as I know of anyway, he have not been summoned to court. He has not been arrested or anything like that. So basically, this is all up to public opinion. And if y'all want to ask me specifically how I feel, then I mean, I'm going to just say, you know. That's all I'm going to say, just you know. So outside of that little portion right there, everything is just me reporting the news. I'm not going to try and make any accusations against Jimmy or any of his staff, because if it's somehow false, that's a bad look on me, and I can get in trouble for that. So there you go with that. So let's move on with the video. This is going to be a long video, by the way. So it all started with a actual controversy involving one of Jimmy's teammates by the name of, and this is going to be confusing, but I'll break this down real quick, Kris Ava Tyson. Now, originally Kris Tyson, but changed their name to Ava Tyson. So I'm not the expert here in terms of transgenders and things of that nature. I'm not sure if Kris got a body change. I have no clue. I have no idea. But obviously, a number of years back, Kris looked like a dude, but then changed the name to Ava and looked more like a woman. And again, I'm not the expert. I'm not trying to call them names or anything like that, or trying to be disrespectful, because that is a sensitive community out there. They don't tolerate stuff like that. So there's that. But what I will say is this: his own Kris Ava's own sister came out and basically confirmed, no, this is a guy who have some type of fetish with being a woman. Apparently, that's what his sister tweeted. His own sister tweeted. So I'm gonna just say that out there and be like, okay, y'all can leave that up to debate if that's true. Now, again, all this stuff is public, so this ain't like his sister came up to me and said, oh yeah, he's a guy. No. His sister posted this publicly. So there you go with that. Now let's get on to the more serious accusation against Kris Ava Tyson. So Kris Ava is accused of being in the same wait. So basically, Kris Ava has been showing off some very disturbing photos of himself, I guess, towards minors. I'm assuming, well, I don't know who the victim are or were rather, guys, girls, maybe both. I don't know. But that's the accusation that's been out there since April of 2023. When Jimmy was being hit up on Twitter since that time, hey, Chris Ava is doing this. Chris Ava is doing that. And the craziest thing was it took Jimmy a little over a year. I think he finally acknowledged this on July of this year, where he had to let go of Chris Ava because of the accusations, and that he hiring a third-party investigator team to investigate the situation and all that jazz, which is crazy because Chris Ava said that they resigned, while Jimmy said he fired them. So which one is it? Which one is it? Also, there's evidence floating around on Twitter that Jimmy was in the same Discord server where Chris Ava was sharing all this inappropriate material of themselves towards minors. So this all went down on a Discord server that Chris Ava owned, and Jimmy was in there. And there's photos of him leaving the server in 2020, which is crazy. Very, very crazy. So the case of whether or not he knew or not, it looking like, nah, Jimmy knew. That's how it's looking. Again, I'm not accusing him, but that's how it's looking. Based on the evidence that is out there that is made public by multiple people. So there you go with that. Now let's get on more into the whole Jimmy situation, although that was bad already. But let's get on to the more Jimmy situation. We go into some of his videos. So basically, he had the Amazon show called the Beast Games. I believe that's what they call. And some of the game contestants on that show were speaking about terrible conditions, how they were hardly fed, and other stuff. And they had to give up their underwear, their undergarments at the start of the show or near the start of the show, which, what? That's awkward. So there's that issue. And then obviously we get to another scenario where Jimmy and his team are now basically deleting comments and trying to silence the YouTubers from passing judgment to them or making videos about them, things of that nature. And like there's evidence of this as well. You know, comments being deleted, videos being flagged. And apparently the accusation is that with his newest video where he was like trapping a bunker, nuclear bunker, something like that, the stats in terms of likes and dislikes were fabricated. That's the accusation made towards Jimmy. And again, there's physical evidence out there in YouTube videos explaining how this works and things of that nature. And also, Rosanna Pansino, who talked about the Beast games and, you know, the contest as she talked to them, she was like, she came out with a video talking about the scenario, and then she came out with another video where she talked about how her first video was taken down all over the world with the exception of in the United States, which is awkward as heck. And also, she also talked about Jimmy not wanting to pay for a union, but yet still want union benefits and pay less in terms of like the contestants, whatever the case may be, and the staff, despite Amazon giving him $100 million for the show. So she asked the question, where all this money going if Jimmy isn't paying the contestants and the workers who are working on the show and things of that nature? So she's wondering, yo, what's up with the money? Now let's get on to Dog Pack. Dog Pack has been the one that's been making a lot of noise over the past few weeks. So he came out with 2 videos and he already confirmed that he's working on a third. And as of me recording this video, the third video have not been released yet. So maybe that'll be released while I'm out on vacation. Rather, I'm not going to spell. I'm going to Hawaii. But yeah, there you go with that. So who knows when that gonna drop. Let's talk about the first video though. So the first video is called I Work for Mr. Beast, He's a Fraud. Again, that's the name of the video. That's the name of the video that Dog Pack 44 came out. In this video, he covered about how Jimmy was faking videos, how Jimmy was promoting gambling to kids, which is illegal, how Jimmy was winning illegal lotteries, how Jimmy was rigging games and videos, that basically the same as faking videos pretty much, how Jimmy was not giving out prizes he's promised in the past, how Jimmy was doing false advertisement, Jimmy was a part of exploitation, and Jimmy was selling fake signatures on his merch, as other people who is not Jimmy would sign with like a Jimmy logo or whatever and be like, hey, Jimmy signed this. No, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. And more. And also, he also received a cease and desist as he was accused of sharing sensitive, confidential, and proprietary information, which is a breach of his NDA and confidentiality. So here's the thing. Dogpack 444 rather used to work for Miss Jimmy. But then, according to a representative, quote unquote, Dogpack 444 only worked for Jimmy for like what, a month, 2 months, and called him a disgruntled ex-employee, which is crazy. But getting back to the cease and desist, so Dogpack 444, the info regarding the video, or no, the info based on what's public, according to Dogpack 444, in terms of his info, and of course he actually posted videos and clips and pictures of all the info that he got that is public, and his lawyer actually reviewed the video before it was posted. So Dogpack 414 got a lawyer before it was posted online, according to Dogpack 414, that is. He submitted it to his lawyer. Lawyer like, yeah, that's cool. Submit that to the general public. So there you go. But it's the second video where things got really crazy, which is why I want to talk about this whole situation. And the second video that Dogpack 404 released called "I Work for Mr. Beast, He's a Sociopath." Again, that's the title. That's the name of the title. So in this video, he interviewed Jake Weedle, who used to work there as a writer and was also in some of Jimmy's videos as well. So Jake Weedle was in, speaking of videos, he was in a video called 100 Days in Solitary Confinement, and he called it borderline torture in terms of what he went through. So basically, you know, he couldn't, let me get to it real quick. And because of this, he had insomnia problems. He didn't have access to the sun. The room smelled because of the new paint, because of the hot tub that was in there. When it was turned off, it was funky. And the ice cream machine, if it was turned on, it would make it a loud noise, making it pretty much impossible for Jake Weedle to sleep. And if it was turned off, then the dairy inside the ice cream machine will become bad and again will be stinking. So there you go with that. And he was pretty much under sleep deprivation, which is considered by the United Nations a form of torture and a war crime under the Geneva Convention and the United Nations Torture Convention. So basically, Jake Weedle was accusing Jimmy something that the United Nations referred to as a form of torture, which is crazy. And then he tells another story where, remember, Jake Weedle was a writer, but he was also working under Jimmy with another writer who just happened to be black and who just so happened to be older than Jimmy at the time. And also he had a kid. Now, Jake at that time was like in his 20s. So he's like 20 something when he was a writer for Jimmy, while the black guy was older. Now, despite this, now I'm not sure the black guy had experience as a writer because that was never said. But the crazy thing is that Jake would pay more than the black guy, even though they did the exact same amount of work, which is crazy. And then what ended up happening was this. Jimmy was getting in a lot of money because of videos, because videos were starting to blow up and stuff like that. And Jake was like, well, a lot of videos coming in, and we were writing stuff for these videos. We should be paying more. Now, the black guy was set. He was settling for where he was at the moment, but Jake believed that himself and the black guy should have been paid more. So the black guy was like, I'm fine when I'm at, but if you can possibly get us more money, then go for it, I guess. So Jake pulled up on Jimmy, was like, yo, we're making a lot of money now. We're writing the shows. We should be getting more money. And I guess Jake was like, either, pay me or I'm walking, referring to himself. He didn't attach the black guy to that. But instead, Jimmy gave them both service checks. What that means is he gave them one final check and pretty much fired them immediately. And while Jake was ecstatic about himself getting fired and himself getting out of that crazy situation, but he felt really bad to the point where he was actually crying in the video, doing an interview with Dogpack, where he didn't want the black guy to be fired. So he felt really bad for that. But the black guy's doing fine now. So as they still in touch, by the way. But yeah, that's actually crazy. So apparently Jimmy doesn't favor black people, which is interesting. Again, that is based off of the interview. So there you go with that. And then the Delaware situation. We got the Delaware situation. Now, before I move on to the Delaware situation, let me backtrack rather to the writers scenario real quick. So, all this information outside from the Dog Pack 404 videos, all this was covered by another YouTuber by the name of More Pegasus. So I seen he got like 8 videos talking about this, and within all these videos, the one thing that he failed to talk about, referring to More Pegasus, was the black writer getting paid less than the white writer situation. So now I'm like, what's up with that, More Pegasus? But that's another story for another day. Now let's fast forward back to the whole Delaware situation. So here's the deal with the Delaware situation. Jimmy brought in a guy who is a registered SA, you know, let's see, y'all should know what SA stand for, but the A, offender. So registered blank offender, and who was involved with a minor who was like either 11 years old or younger. And despite that, Jimmy brought him in. And to make matters even worse, the accusation, again, this is an accusation, was that they nicknamed this dude Delaware because he was banned from Delaware because of this SA situation. And despite that, there's a clip where Jimmy called this dude Delaware. He was like, "Don't steal Delaware food." There's a clip of this. So that's crazy. But Delaware have a brother-in-law who also used to work for Jimmy, and his name is Jake Franklin. So he actually dropped a Twitter post regarding the whole Delaware situation. So here's what he says. Here's the truth. Yes, Delaware is my brother-in-law. Yes, he is a RSO. Or, yeah. A registered says, I said SA. I meant to say SO. So registered blank offender with an O. My bad, not with an A. When he was 21, a 16-year-old girl, and this is like worded wrong. When he was 21, a 16-year-old girl accused him and others of SAing when she was 11. So let me translate that real quick. When he was 21, basically the accusation was that he SA'd an 11-year-old. So somebody who was 10 years younger than him. But it took 5 years after that for that same girl to accuse him of doing that. So that's the translation, because how that sentence was worded was like totally wrong, was totally off. But let's move on. Delaware took a plea deal. That's right, there was no jail time, but he still had to register. His nickname isn't Delaware because he can't go back to Delaware. He's from Delaware. That was the dumbest thing I ever heard. He's been back several times. He was hired before I was, and were actually the reason I got hired at Mr. Beast. Before being hired, Delaware sat down with Jimmy and Sue, who is Jimmy's mom, and explained to them everything. So yes, Jimmy knew. Confirmation right there. But we'll get more on that part in a second. But again, this incident happened in 2010. Delaware was hired in 2017/2018. Delaware was also let go from the company before I was. Delaware was supposed to be a behind-the-scenes manager, but in a couple of videos, he was asked to partake because we needed people. He was reluctant, especially in the straight jacket video, because of his charges, and that's why he wore the mask. So yeah, he was in a video with the mask. Delaware's charges are said to be dropped this fall. Delaware has been nothing but a good person, an amazing husband to my sister, and the best father to my 2 nieces that I could ever ask for. They want no part in this and want to just live their lives away from the limelight. I understand why anyone would be upset and frustrated over these allegations, and I do not blame them. Hurting kids in any way is completely unacceptable. But in the case of Delaware, I firmly believe he did nothing wrong and look forward to the day these charges are dropped. Thank you. And that's the end of the tweet. So, here's my take on this whole Delaware situation. First of all, his real name is Charles Robert Jefferson. So, the fact that he called him Delaware, so there's a few things we need to address. We need to address the second paragraph that Jake posted on Twitter. His nickname isn't Delaware because he can't go back to Delaware. He's from Delaware. So I'm like, then why are you calling him Delaware if his name is Charles? Like, there's actually evidence posted online, aka it's public, that his name is Charles. So I'm like, then why are you calling him Delaware and not Charles? You know, so what's up with that? So that's number one. Number two is the next paragraph where he actually admits, he as in Jake that is, Delaware sat down with Jimmy and Sue and explained to them everything. So yes, Jimmy knew. So there you go with that. And then now in terms of everything else, with the exception of the last paragraph, which I'll get to in a second, everything else he said, I have no problem with. Well, the first paragraph was like, I want to say grammatically, I can't talk today. It's pretty much how it was structured. It was incorrect. Like that one sentence in that first paragraph was structured incorrectly. But so outside of that, outside the second paragraph, outside the third paragraph, the fourth and the fifth, I really have no problem with. I really have no problem with. So the reason why I said that, because if you commit a crime, right, and you serve your time, in this case, this dude didn't serve any time, which is interesting. But if you serve time and you are let go because your time sentence is up and you want to get back to a normal life, I mean, it's kind of hard to do when you got that in your record. People might not hire you or want to hire you because you got a record, because even though you may have changed, but it still doesn't change the fact that you perform a criminal act and people may view you as a criminal from that point going forward. So for anybody to hire that person who's trying to get their life straight or have gotten their life straight, okay, kudos to them. So in this case, that's what Jimmy's did. Kudos to Jimmy in that scenario right there. But let's go on to this one part. So yes, Jimmy knew. And the fact that Jimmy, in one of his videos, actually called him Delaware, where his real name is Charles, it's kind of leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths because of the fact that Jimmy hired somebody who is a registered SO. And if this was anybody else who is not a part of YouTube, who has no presence in the social media world, this would be okay. But here's the thing, you know how people are. People are going to criticize you because you hired somebody who is a registered SO, especially one who is accused of that or who is registered as that when dealing with a minor. One who is 11 years old, might I add. So that's not a good look for Mr. Beast, for Jimmy. So that's just not a good look. And you know, people are going to be like, what? He got a registered SO on his team and the victim was 11? What the heck? That's how people going to look. That's how people going to take it. That's how people going to take it. So I commend Jimmy for trying to give this guy a second chance, but he should have kept not Jimmy, but he should have kept Charles behind the scenes. He should not have brought Charles on the, on camera at all. I don't care how short of staff they were. I don't care if they needed people or not. Charles should not have been on camera. Charles should not have been in any of Jimmy's YouTube videos. That should not have happened. So, because now people's perspective on this whole situation is going to be Jimmy hired a registered SO where the victim was 11-year-old. And they're going to look at Jimmy in a different light now. So that's the problem. So the problem isn't with Charles, even though what he did was wrong, severely wrong. But if what Jay said is true, it's like, oh, he changed his ways, he's a nice person, all that stuff. Okay, so be it. He learned his lesson and he can move on. But the fact that he received no jail time is interesting, but okay. I don't know how I feel about that, but okay. But the real issue is that Jimmy hired a registered SO where the victim was 11 years old. And we're joking about the whole Delaware scenario. So again, all this is made public and people are going to look at that and say, that's a bad look on Jimmy. And yeah, there you go with that. That's the problem. So like I said, near the beginning of this video, there's going to be a third video from Dog Pack. I have no clue when it's going to drop, but overall, the bottom line is this. Based on the accusations that are out there against Jimmy, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. He could potentially get in trouble for promoting gambling to kids. He could be getting in trouble for illegal lotteries. He could be getting in trouble for exploitation. He could be getting in trouble with the Beast Game situation. He could be getting in trouble for selling fake signatures. There's a few things he could get in trouble for. There's a few things he can get in trouble for. So, but again, he got a lot of money, so he could pay for it all. But in terms of like his channel, will his channel ever be the same? I mean, if there was like less stuff than this, I can say, yeah, Jimmy could survive this. But because of the fact that there's just so much stuff, and there's a third video coming out, as big as Jimmy is in terms of social media presence and with the YouTube videos and stuff like that, it's hard to say if Jimmy can survive all of this. It's really, really hard to say if he can. So that's my thoughts on that. So yeah, I'm gonna call it a wrap. So with all that said, y'all know who this is. This is boy New J Gatsby, aka New Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.